businesses that are putting together their very first advisory board would be well advised to really think carefully about the composition of that board, because the reality is that you really have to get clarity on what you want that board to be able to deliver to you as a business owner or an entrepreneur, and you want to get clear on what would work best for you, because you can get these boards and they can become very unwieldy very quickly, and they sort of serve the advisors and not the company itself. And so it's a real subtle approach that you have to take to make sure that you have the right people around the table, and that it's going to suit you as a business executive and what would work best for you. And that it becomes the brief, if you like, before you go to market. So when I'm looking at an organization, and they might be early stage, high potential, or they might be a bit more established, we do a comprehensive briefing with the entrepreneurial owner, the business owners, the shareholders, major shareholders, whoever's involved with briefing our organisation on the advisory board. We've got to get clarity on what skills would make the most impact, the most difference, the type of profile of the right individuals. And I think it's a huge mistake to have a really large advisory board, especially in the early days, and especially if you're just forming an advisory board. Sometimes it can work extremely well with just one or two or maybe three business executives, and that might be more than enough, especially if you're a solo business owner. More than enough to give you the strategic advice that you need, the opening of the doors, the connections, really looking at the business strategy and how you can go forward, how you can grow your organization. You don't necessarily need big, complex boardroom scenarios and situations, because that can actually detract from what you're trying to do. What I have seen work really well, particularly with early stage high potential businesses, is that someone is nominated to be the chair of that advisory board, and that person helps coordinate the other advisors and give them tasks and activities to do in between the board meetings. What I've seen work extremely well is if that chair is quite strong in the advisory board meetings and takes the pressure off the entrepreneurs who can come to that meeting and really think about their business, think about the challenges that they're facing. And it does work really well if there's a bit of structure around presenting to that advisory board meeting, so that you get almost like a board paper or set of board papers presented, so everyone comes together on the same page and there's a very clear agenda of what you're trying to achieve. When I'm formulating an advisory board for myself, I'm always looking at, first and foremost, someone who knows more than I know, and someone who has been there and done that before. So I'm usually looking for, if I'm trying to grow a business for an exit, I'm usually looking for an entrepreneur who has exited a similar type of business successfully. So that would be one of my key appointments to the board of directors, because I really want to tap into that expertise, someone who's been through the scenario before, seen what can go wrong and right, and can guide me to that end goal. So I might have a big picture goal in mind, and that would be that key appointment. So that's really crucial. Second thing I'm looking for is someone who can be a real brand ambassador for me in the market and can open doors and can actually bring business to the table. Now that's a very unique individual, but they can be found, and they're crucial, because I just don't want board meetings for the sake of board meetings. I want someone who's able to bring business to the table, or can open a door, or come along to a business meeting, or help me with a big government tender or a grant approach. So, there are individuals out there that have that real business development capability. And so I would want that on my board, because ultimately I'm bringing an advisory board around me to help grow my business. So I'm bringing in an entrepreneur. That'd be one of my key appointments. I'm bringing in at least one quality individual who can help me from a business development perspective. I might also augment that with someone who's an expert in marketing. So I often find, at this level, we don't have necessarily the capability to have a full-time chief marketing officer. And so having expertise in the boardroom around marketing, branding, events, PR, digital aspects, social media can be extremely helpful. And then finally, I'm going to have someone who's a bit of an all-rounder, and that would probably be someone with a legal background for me. I'd like someone who has that capacity to really navigate legal contracts, joint venture partnerships, all of those kind of things that might be going on in my business, but can also just manage things from a risk management perspective. Maybe they're a little bit more conservative. So I'm the opposite. I'm sort of all, guns blazing. So I recognize in myself I don't have maybe that risk profile. And so I'm going to appoint someone to the board who's a good all-rounder, someone who's got maybe a legal mindset, a risk mindset that will maybe keep us off the reefs and avoid a mistake or avoid a legal problem. So that would be my makeup. And for you, it might be completely different, but you've got to think about your own skills and what you're bringing to the business. There's no point, in my opinion, in replacing yourself on the board and putting a mini me on the board, because that doesn't really help. And it's important because sometimes that's who you gravitate towards and you sort of go, oh, well, I really get on well with that person. But that's not necessarily who you appoint to the board of directors. You really want to think about the skills, the competencies, the experience, the networks that will really add value to your business, and be mindful of where you are on your own business journey and what you're trying to achieve. So with that clarity, you can then think about the advisory board and then think about how it's constituted, how many meetings, what would work best. Always bring it back to what would suit you the best, and then take that to market as a brief so that you put the right people around the table and they're serving you well. Always give yourself a capability to exit advisory board members that aren't adding value to your business, and be completely ruthless where that's concerned. If something's not working, not gelling, you're not getting value after even a couple of months, exit the person. Thanks for coming. It was really great working with you, but I think, it'd be better if we parted ways. I'd like to consider working with someone else. You have to be frank and fearless, because you've got to be able to put the A-team around your business, and that A-team has to have your back. And you have to really feel they're genuinely adding value to your organisation.